right, everyone, let's go ahead and get rolling here. Start talking about budgets. Why is it important? There's actually a lot of reasons that budgets are important beyond just being helpful. Budgets allow us to really start strategically thinking about our resources. It helps us to make informed decisions based off of actual data and not just gut feelings. It helps maintain some level of stability in the numbers. It helps for planning purposes. It really is a crucial role in staying ahead of your business. And QuickBooks has a pretty good tool here that will allow us to use budgets for that purpose. So let's go ahead and get more into it. Specifically, let's talk more on benefits. Accurate forecasting. I think everybody here would understand how important that can be, right? We'd be able to know kind of what's coming up. It helps us to project in the future kind of where we're going to be so we can plan for events that may be coming up. It helps make informed decisions, gives you the ability to make informed decisions about your finances. Helps you get in control, right? So you can identify what that budget is actually going to be for each account and put you more in control of it. Helps you identify variances, kind of where everything falls and what you may need to focus on. You can look at these budget versus actual reports, which we'll cover here shortly, to get an evaluation of your performance and kind of know where you are falling. Are you on track? Are you getting behind track? You can use some benchmarking tools to see if that's falling in line with your industry. You could use your KPI indicators to monitor and see where you're falling. Again, this is about the business's overall health and help identify areas of improvement and focus. Gives you that data decision making, right, based off of data. So you're not just making guesswork, you're actually falling in line specifically against what the numbers show. Scenario planning, I think, is another one. It's one of those things where a lot of people don't realize you can make multiple budgets and you can actually put into different scenarios. So perhaps you have one budget that you have based off a forecast of a release of a new product versus one without it, just as an example, and kind of see where all those numbers fall. Or perhaps it's in growth. What happens if we change our numbers? What happens if we change our margin? What happens if we hire more people? You can actually start to build those numbers based off of that and start to see the impact that it potentially could make. So that helps you with your proactive planning, right? Also gives you that a better handle on where you need to put your resources and where you need to put your time. Helps you streamline your efficiencies, get everything in order. Let's see, enhanced communication. I like to think of that as the ability to provide collaboration. So this doesn't have to be just a manager going in and doing a budget just for themselves. This could be shared amongst team members, and everyone can contribute to their part and have full knowledge, right, and visibility of what you're trying to accomplish and where everyone's goals are. It provides that level of that clear documentation that you wouldn't have otherwise. It also provides for accountability. So now that you have those numbers, everybody's kind of agreed to it, right? Now everybody's accountable to it. You'll see here, we'll talk about briefly that we can even break this up like per department. Everyone can have their own goals. Who's achieving and staying on budget? It's going to help. This is one of those tools that's going to help you with that. So, okay, how are we going to do it? I'm going to walk you through kind of how you start. It's actually a pretty simple process. You're going to access the budgeting feature through going to the company on the top, the company setting. Under that, you should see budgeting and planning. Select that option. And then once you get there, you'll see an option for set up budgets. That's where you can set them up, right? Create new. So once you hit that button, what you will get is an option for the creating a new budget. You'll tell it the year, so you're going to specify the year and what type. Right now, QuickBooks allows for profit and loss or a balance sheet type. So you would set that. Most of the time, the primary driver is probably going to be your profit and loss, just because that's what you're tracking, the movement of your ins and outs. So that's what a lot of people do. However, a balance sheet can be helpful as well. Once you get through there, the next thing you'll be selecting is additional criteria. So this is where things can get more granular, and you can break these things down even more. So you can create a budget just for a specific customer or a specific job, right? So this can start getting a budget for the customer's job and keeping track to where you are. Very important. If you're doing specific job costing and kind of needing to know where everything is falling. You could do it by class. Earlier I mentioned being able to have like departments. So think of it like that. Perhaps you have a residential department and then you have a commercial department. You can set all of that up so that you are setting individual budgets based off a class. Oh, I will mention too that this could be helpful for an internal project. It doesn't just have to be customer driven. So if you've got something internally going on, maybe you're doing some remodeling, you can use this to help keep you on track as well. Okay. So once you've selected that, now you'll be ready to move on to the next step. But I wanted to take a moment and just kind of show you what that would look like. So on the balance sheet, on a profit and loss, you're going to be tracking specifically your income and expenses, right? That's how the budget's going to get set up. On a balance sheet, it's a plan for your assets, liability, and equity. This is really helpful, like if you have a business with a focus on the capital structure, debt management, or asset acquisition. It also helps in long-term financial planning. The project base, that's when you're talking about doing it to the customers or jobs. That's really good for that, enabling to create budget specific to like client engagement, making sure everything's as expected, you're not going over in your costing. This is particularly useful for like service-based industries, like construction, that kind of thing, or perhaps just strictly service like IT, making sure you have those granular insights into the financial performance of each project individually. On the class side, get departments, cost center, different lines. This is great for organizations like with multiple business units, and it makes sure that each department has its own financial plan and helps that, what I mentioned before, with accountability and resource allocation. Okay. All right, so once that is set up, the next thing you'll be doing is setting up those budget amounts. You have a couple different ways of getting these figures in. One way is just through strictly manual entry. You could come in and put those numbers in. I've included a snapshot of a piece of what that budget looks like. You'll notice it has the accounts to the left. This would be a profit and loss one, and your annual total. You could put that out and you could copy it across, and it will break it out by month equally. Or you could come into each cell and put in the numbers you want, right? You could also tell QuickBooks that you want to use last year's profit and loss data to fill these cells in. That could be a huge time saver. So it's going to use actual data that has been in your books from last year. and that will populate everything here. Now what you can do is come in and change things you want to change. So let's say we're going to anticipate a certain percentage increase, let's say in design income. You can come in here and tell it, as of the first month, increase this amount by what percent? Say our goal is going to be 10%. It'll automatically calculate it across. And you'll just go through and do each account and establish the projections that you want to use for your budget. Okay, you get all that in. Now what do you do with it? Right? Well, that's where the reports come in. And that's what's going to give you the actual analysis of how well you've done. So the primary report to use with budgets is the budget versus actual report. You can kind of see here in this screenshot what it looks like. So in this situation, you're looking at November. It's telling you what your actual amounts are in the first column, and then you'll see the budgeted amount. The next columns give you that analysis, that comparison between the two. How well did you do? So in this case, you could see that your overall construction income was off by $40,000. In this case, it's a good one because it's over what your budget was, right? But in some case, maybe it's under. But that is what's giving you the data. So you can look and see how well did you do against what you expected to do. Are you in line? The actual budget performance goes just a bit further than that, a little bit deeper, and you can see year to date. So rather than like your first one, this is specific to a month, you can also do it by performance and see how you're performing over the year. You don't have to recalculate values, it does it for you, and it kind of tells you basically where you are, which is very helpful. That also give you the opportunity, you could go in at any time and adjust your budget. So maybe based off of this, hey, you know, we're doing better than expected. We launched a new product. We increased our margins. Adjust your budget to reflect that so you can stay ahead of the game. That really helps you kind of adapt to changes as it goes along and kind of know what the end result's going to be. The real cool thing that I like about it is you can put those reports into a graphical representation of what it looks like. This is your budget versus actual by month. You can see the blue being favorable, red being unfavorable, and this is where you are by budget difference. So there's different ways that you can present the data visually that can really show you how things are performing. A lot of us are visual people, and so the opportunity to put this in graphical representation is very helpful. A lot of people kind of forget that that's even an option, but it's a pretty cool feature. Okay, so let me just jump into some tips for successful budgeting. Best practices, right? Regular updates. Keep up with the changes. The budget is only as good as the data put in. So as things change in the company, update your budget to reflect it so you can maintain where you're at and where you're projecting to go. Collaboration. Don't work in a bubble. Keep other people involved. Share this amongst the team members that have pieces of important data and use that collaboration to really get a good picture. To do that, you might need to do some training. So one of the things you might find is that people need training on how to use it. Take advantage of that scenario planning I mentioned to you. Create multiple budgets, put in different scenarios. Think of what it would look like if your margin increased. Think of what it would look like if your payroll increased, right? Or you change spaces, right? Your rent's different, whatever that may be. Take advantage of it. And if you're thinking in terms of job budgets, think about it like that too. So what if we were able to drop our costs? What if we were able to have less labor? What's that look like? Be consistent, right? Use this consistently to give you the best result. Use it for your KPIs, those key performance indicators. You can use this to identify and track with them. Regularly monitoring those is going to help your business stay on track and gauge how well your decisions are coming out. And consider historical trends. That's going to help you achieve optimal results. See what those patterns are. Are you seasonal, right? Maybe yours is a business that is only really hot during the summer. It wouldn't make sense for you to go in and create a budget that's equal, copy all the values equally across, right? You're going to want to drop them for those months where you're not going to have much business and up them during the summer. So use your historical trends to identify how you need to adjust. Okay, common errors, things that could cause issues with the accuracy of the budgets. Biggest thing, right? Verifying data integrity. You want to take a look and make sure things are being posted properly, right? Is your data correct? Are things reconciled? Do you have stuff in there that's doubled? If you do those things, that's not going to help you very much, right? There's obviously a lot of issues if you're doing that, but when you're talking specific to budgeting, it's not going to be a solid reflection. Unexpected changes come up. Again, changes in business line, changes in expenses, change it in the budget. That way you are staying abreast of those changes and you are comparing what really should be happening. Things happen, but just account for it. It's easy to do. Excuse me. Keep abreast of the software updates. I think everyone here should know that QuickBooks updates every year and they put out different updates and different features. So stay ahead of that because there could be some really cool things that are released that give you even more tools. Let's see, inconsistent data entry. That's a big thing. You might even want to use that reclass tool to kind of go through and make sure everything is being consistent. If you think about it, if you are comparing accounts and you're comparing, let's say, what should be there for office supplies, right? What your expected budget for office supplies is, but someone has gone in and put a capital asset into office supplies, that's going to throw the budget completely off. So it's important that you are looking at the data entry, making sure it's correct and consistent, right? Consistency is key here. Insufficient documentation. So if you are building this budget based off of certain assumptions, let's make sure that those are valid assumptions, right? And document them if possible so that they're visible and supported. Okay. So as we're coming here to conclude, what's the purpose? Our budget is going to let you do efficient planning, right? Anticipate and allocate resources effectively. See where those numbers fall. What does that picture look like over the span of a year? What does it look like for that month? I know just from personal experience and with my clients that we have put these in place, it really helps the business feel more in control, right? If you come on, you feel good about your budget, you see where that end result's going to be, everything looks good, and then you're monitoring it and you're staying up with everything. If you look at that actual, right? And to the budget, and you are on track or you're ahead of the game, think of how that feels to that business owner. They know they're on track to succeed. They're on track to get the end result that they have planned for. That is huge, right? Just having that peace of mind. Or knowing that if you come in here and you see things are out of whack, you can make those adjustments now. You're not waiting until June to see that you are not on track to hit your goals in December. You are able to make immediate decisions and immediate strategies based off of actual data. That is a huge tool for our business. And it truly helps the mind. We've got so much in our minds and so much that running through and planning for. This is a really strong tool to help keep things focused on where they need to be focused and give you the ability to see the actual data reflected each month. So you're making your data-driven decisions, good choices, right? And allows you to continually improve, right? Lets you refine. So maybe you're looking at this and say, okay, maybe we need to up our marketing budget. Let's go ahead and put that in. What can we expect in return? Gives you the ability to kind of think things through, think ahead, and see the implementation piece of it. Well, with that, that concludes the discussion on budgets. I hope that you have found this helpful and interesting and maybe given it another thought on how you can use it. We've got several more, well, we always have these deep dive webinars each week. Next week, we'll be covering the sales process.